Members present are Commissioner Tiaco, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Dueñas, Commissioner Martinez, and myself, Commissioner Santos. Approval of the minutes. This is for the meeting of September 23rd. Need a motion, please? Second, thank you very much. Any questions, colleagues? None? So it's moved the approval of the minutes of September 23rd. Larissa, no public comments, right?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, John B., I think you asked for one resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm asking that we table Resolution 2026-01 and just go to Resolution FY 2026-02. And this is to request your authorization to get authorization from the legislature for about $300 million to issue bonds totaling $300 million. The $300 million really would be to cover generation plants, transmission, substation, distribution, T&D facilities, and water and wastewater water well generators. All of this, we really have come up with like a $518 million of work, but really we're looking over the next 5 years doing about $300 million in work, depending again on how the rates come across. We're looking at 56 million in distribution, 38 in facilities, 42 in generation, 156 in transmission, and about 2.2 in water and wastewater standby generators. That's the balance of the generators to be replaced, as we had already ordered and receiving close to 50%. The way it works, Mr. Chair, is as revenues increase over time from the build-up and everything that occur, that's when we will come back to you with 100 million tranches at a time. It's going to take about 4% increase in the energy sales to generate about $8 million to issue about $100 million bond. No? So based on that, again, it might be next year, the year after, that we will come out for getting the bond. So that, Mr. Chair, is our request for your consideration. And again, once we come, we're going to have to come back to the CCU and PUC for approval of the 100 million projects, plus, of course, going out. So again, this is just showing that we have this much work that we could do, and really we can generate this out of all of the cash that we get. No?
All right. Colleagues, any question on this? We had discussed this, I think, thoroughly at the work session.
No. Motion to approve FY 2026-02.
Give our second. Second. All right, so move. Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for John B. All right. Thank you very much, GPA.
Thank you.
Oh, JB, real quick, any update on Ukadu, on the road?
It's going to be back by the end of the, before the end of the month. They gave us an update. I think something like 20, well, should be back soon, and then they'll do the installation. They'll probably take into about the middle of November, and then that's when they'll have the CT3 back. We don't have a final decision from them yet what they're going to do about CT1 and CT2. So
are they providing any energy to the system? It seems like sometimes they are and sometimes they're not.
yeah, they were providing about 120 megawatts for so much time, and then they about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, they took down one unit for inspection. The other unit ran, and then up to about Friday. This last Friday, and then the unit just started coming back up on the line today. So it might be on.
The one they took down?
The one actually, one of it tripped on Friday night, the CT.
The one that was, the one remaining one that was operating?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this afternoon, it came on the line, but not the combined cycle yet. They were bringing it up. So
they're still having trouble. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes they provided as much as 120 megs?
yeah.
And then they're still.
And then
going
the
through
other time,
testing phase?
they were at 67.
Right.
control issue, so that's all I know for now.
Okay, but the penalties have kicked in, right?
Penalties kick in October 1st.
So what would be the nature of the new agreement? I mean, we already have an agreement, and they're
I'm not, the
I'm
other
just curious,
issue,
what do we negotiate?
again, operational, like we remember we pay for additional testing. So when they're running the units, no? That's what we're trying to negotiate. We're not negotiating, they want in lieu of LD, but we're saying no.
Because we paid them to speed up, but they haven't been able to complete
Yeah.
this speeding up, right? They're still
Yeah,
partially
really,
available, right?
really, I'm not ready to go through much of it, Mr. Commissioner, at this time. There's really not, we're still looking also at water concerns that they had, and we have to address that to see. They're asking for extension of time on that, and we're looking at that. We're considering it. So we're not ready
I'm not really
to make
questioning
a
that you're.
recommendation or
I'm
anything.
not really questioning that you're having to negotiate some things. I'm just kind of curious what exactly, I mean, we're close to the finish line from one point of view, right? We're very close. The plant's there. They've had one-third of it working, two-thirds of it working. Sometimes they had three-thirds of it working?
No.
Or never?
No. Again, first it was the steam turbine,
Mhm.
then that got fixed. Then the combustion turbine number 3, no? And of course, that now is coming back to be reinstalled. But the issue with combustion turbine to number 3 brings up the concern of what impact does it also have on 1 and 2. And those are, decisions that they're trying to make within themselves, really.
But does it
to-
require a new agreement? 'Cause you're saying you're
No,
negotiating.
no. A new agreement is, they're wanting to in lieu of LD, and say no.
I mean, we're paying them, we are paying them for some of the energy they're providing us, right? We paid them to be partially available, right? You had figured that out before, right?
Yeah, if you want to go through this, we'll have to do it. I like to do it in executive session. I don't want to. I mean, we're still in this process, and the more I talk about it, the more
Less comfortable.
I'm less comfortable with it. No,
Okay.
but I'm just
I'll
saying
wait,
that
I'll wait.
in the next, if I need a special meeting, I will
You
ask
call.
Okay.
the commissioners.
Yeah,
But
you're working.
and I can,
It's, we,
so-
we pass and we sign these things and we support it. The more detail, the more knowledge, the more well-informed we are, I think the better it is. So we really appreciate your effort on the clarity in this area.
Okay, just, John, today was an interesting day, and I attended the CERT's tabletop exercise. And can you just briefly, because management, both GPA and Waterworks were there,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you with the key people, but can you brief the commissioners just?
Oh,
on
yeah,
today's
today we
event?
had a tabletop exercise on cybersecurity, if you will. What would happen if one of the cases, of course, was we're in an impending storm and then some cyber issues come up, how we're going to react. And it really was to get the whole team, power and water, to really think about those scenarios now and be prepared as to what happens. So they went through a whole series of exercises.
recorded?
Yeah, I think.
It was today?
I don't know.
Prepare the
I
video
saw,
and then-
was it recorded? Yeah. We recorded.
Supposed to be there.
In addition to that,
To be informed and catch up.
in addition to that, there's like seven groups, no, mixture, power and water, and all coming out with various ideas as to what we need to do, what they have to protect, how do we communicate, and how do we run the system under a cybersecurity scenario. The end result after all of this is we're going to take those recommendations and put it into a SOP so that if it does happen, we're prepared. So again, this is our first one, our first tabletop exercise on the issue, and my understanding is it was quite successful because one thing's for sure, our team are very resilient and know their stuff. So at least the good thing is that we're able to, again, to take the time before the scenario, before, hopefully it never happens, right? But before it happens. So that was the thing today.
Okay,
Thank you, Johnny.
thank you. Thank you, John B.
And Chris, for Waterworks.
Thank you.
Don't mind if you smell me, I just came from work. Yeah.
But also, the trash
Yeah.
can be that's
Well, we
We're all here,
work
Chris?
in the trash truck.
Ready?
We've been down that road.
And we're good? All right, let's get started. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first resolution that we have for you to consider is Resolution 01 FY 2026, which seeks your approval for the GWA full year O&M budget for fiscal 2026. This resolution supersedes the one that you had approved last month, which was the interim first quarter budget, and that this current budget is the one that aligns with the 5-year rate plan that we presented to the PUC and that they also approved in September 2025. That budget authorizes an 8.2% rate increase for all non-Lifeline customers, and it also sets the legislative surcharge at 3.55%. This budget represents the second year of our rate plan as previously approved by the Commission. It also includes the new debt service that we had just recently secured in August, the $250 million in revenue bonds. For FY 2026, we project total revenues of $149.2 million, net of bad debt, supplemented by $1.9 million in investment income. Operating expenses total $89.2 million, which includes approximately $17.6 million for power, $7 million for water purchases, $37 million for salaries and benefits, $13 million for general admin costs, and $9.5 million for contractual services. Additional allocations include $51.8 million for debt service and $1.5 million for short-term financing costs and $15 million for internally funded capital improvement. This budget also is projected to give a debt service coverage ratio of 1.37, which is fully compliant with our bond requirements and consistent with the financial plan. Lastly, the budget also contains funding to support our obligations under the 2011 federal court order and the 2024 partial consent decree. So we're requesting for your consideration to approve our annual budget.
Okay. Mike?
Mr. Chair, so move to approve the annual budget, and then I just have a question.
Second.
Need a second?
Okay, go.
I second it.
Oh, perfect, okay. So the recent refinancing that we did, the $200 million you just alluded to, are we paying any interest on it at this point, or not until we draw down?
Give her the microphone.
Interest only for 5 years?
Dick,
Okay.
Gilda.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're only paying for the first 5 years, just interest only, no principal,
Okay,
deferred
so-
principal.
So it's similar, I know the way we wanted to finance it wasn't available, or wasn't competitive for us, but it's actually similar to the way we used to
Yeah.
borrow the money, right? It's, you pay interest only, and then now we used to capitalize the interest and then borrow that, right? But now we're paying the interest, so I think there's some savings for us there. But I just wanted to refresh my memory. So it's interest only for the first 5 years?
Yes.
We can start to draw down, and still, and only
Yes.
pay interest on what we do draw down as we draw down. And then in year 5, we start the 30-year, is it 30-year amortization?
30 years, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mr.
Okay. All right, any other questions, colleagues?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, I appreciate all the effort and all the hard work being done here. I'll go ahead and support this, but this is, the way I see it is, you know, the management will live within the means of their budget, but if there's anything that will go to the ratepayers so that there's an increase, I think it's this body's responsibility to try to get funds to you know, to supplement, to live and live within our mean. If there's any budget increase needs, I think we are able to support that. You know, but it's when it comes to raising the rate again, I would like to we'll try everything we do as a body for our commissioners to be able to get that extra funds. Make it at the last resort is you know, to go to our customers, because there is many means that we can supplement, and we'll give everything that is needed. But of course, we scrutinize how it's spent, and you know, will be in detail. But in the near future, I like to be able to do whatever it takes to support whatever maintenance and all this expense that's needed. It's very expensive, but again, with this body, I think we're able to go a little bit outside of ourselves rather than the ratepayers and get that amount. Thank you.
That it, colleagues? We'll call for the vote. All in favor? Please
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Next, Chris?
Okay, for the next resolution, 02 FY 2026, I'm going to ask our senior regulatory analyst, Ms. Lujan, to present that.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. We're asking to adopt our official comprehensive fats, oil, and grease program. It is a requirement not just of the partial consent decree, which has an actual deadline we have to submit to the Guam legislature, but also part of our MPDS permit. It has been in our MPDS permit for several years, and we started working with a consultant, and then we worked on it with internally and with some of the community and Guam EPA in establishing this program. 50% of all sanitary sewer overflows are attributed to fats, oil, and grease in our system, and of course it causes us to have overflows, which then are impacting the environment, especially if it spills into the ocean, but also within our groundwater system as well. And so this formal program will allow us to better control food service industries so that they can ensure that they have the proper grease removal devices installed in their facility, but also provide for a training program so that their staff, as well as the owners of these companies, are fully aware of the requirements for us in establishing our fats, oil, and grease control program. One of the things that we would like to do is have progressive fines. Currently, if we come across, because we do have a staff that goes and participates in inspections to restaurants and other food service industries, and if they're exceeding the amount of grease in their grease traps, or if they have any other type of violation, our only recourse really is to turn off the water. So currently what we do is work with Guam EPA in terms of getting them into compliance, so that way we don't shut down the business. So our plan does have fees and fines associated with it. We really would like to do something progressive so that we work with the customer to ensure that they come into compliance through best management measures, upgrading their grease removal device, as well as doing proper cleaning. So the program not just defines the roles, responsibilities of the requirements of the food industries. It also will provide guidance on the sizing of the grease removal device, as well as provide some guidance and a fee structure for fog haulers that discharge into our wastewater treatment plant. We have we submitted our plan in November of 2024. It was finally approved by US EPA in August of this year. And then we have until February to submit to the legislature. So what you have as an attachment is the approved FOG manual, and that is the basis for our FOG program, as well as the requirements under the adjudication, Guam's Administrative Adjudication Act on how we can have it incorporated into our formal rules and regulations. Is there any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, you first.
Oh, okay. So, so the next step is to go through the adjudication? The legislature has to review the proposal or no?
Yes, they
They
do.
do?
The first step is for your approval.
Right.
And then after that, we will have a public hearing. I think
Mhm.
it's scheduled for the middle of November to get comments from the public on the proposed program.
Right.
You have
And
to do
then
3?
we only have to do one.
Just one? Okay.
Okay.
And then after that, then we could, it does go to the Attorney General and the Governor for their approval, and then we do have to send it down to the legislature before
And then
February 8th.
they have X amount of time to either review and approve it and make changes, or it defaults, right?
Okay.
90 days.
From the time we filed it,
From the time we
submit it to them.
transmit, right, and
Okay.
file to the legislature.
Okay, and that's
And so-
inclusive of the progressive fine schedule that you're including? Okay.
And one thing I would like to make note is that prior to the partial consent decree, whenever there's a spill, we're required to report it. But under this current partial consent decree, we get fined for the number of gallons that spill, anywhere from 0 to, I believe it's like 1,000 gallons, we get fined $200, and then the fines go up based on the number of gallons we spill. So they haven't billed us yet, but I understand that bill's coming for the spills that we've had since the August of 2024.
And you've correlated those spills with the restaurant industry? You mentioned the restaurant industry. I'm sure that there's residential homes that are
Yes.
improperly disposing of their fat oils and
Yes,
grease, but.
so part of our outreach and education is not only to the restaurant industry. The fines are just going to be towards commercial entities, but we are doing an expanded outreach to customers. When we do have a spill, we are required to notify upstream and downstream 1,000 feet of residences in that area that there was a spill, to get them to understand that some of their cooking techniques are, if not to put oil down the drain,
Mhm.
because it's impacting the wastewater collection system.
So there'll be an education program on the residential side, but what are the boundaries that prohibit businesses from complying for their grease traps? And are there commercial solutions available to them to help, maintain those grease traps?
So right now, we're going to do some training related to how often they have to clean it, but the cleaning is done through a private company, has to come in and clean that. But we provide a list of best management practices, scraping the dishes before it goes down, giving them all the types of ingredients that do cause, like cream. Cream's a big grease thing. People don't normally think of it. They think it's only frying oil, but there's a bunch of other kind of food products that you can just put it in your trash can or in another way or something else, instead of putting it down the drain. Then the temperature of the water and things like that. There's things that we can do to eliminate, to extend the length of time for cleaning in between. But cleaning is really the most, is really the method that we really have to work with the food industry to make sure that that's taken care of. But also sizing it correctly. That's part of the problem, is a lot of times they're not sized correctly, that then they end up having to clean it more often. But there's other best management practices that can be instituted with the customer to reduce some of the grease into our system.
I got a question. Once we approve this and it goes to the different channels, if there's any hiccups or any changes along the way, does it come back to this body so that we can be informed what needs to be refined or polished up. And in this situation, is there amenities where people can report other people, you know, that are abusing the system and just draining it, you know, into the, because I'm quite sure there's a lot of, like you say, yeah, so. Is
We
there
didn't,
a
that's not
department or
accommodated in
control?
our plan, like reporting other people. But certainly, in many instances, if customers are complaining that either they're smelling something when they go into a restaurant, we also, as part of our program, have a partnership with Guam EPA and Public Health. Because it may be that it's not necessarily grease, but some other things. But we have done it in the past where the three agencies responsible for ensuring that your food establishment is a healthy place to be, then we can work on that. And certainly we do address customer complaints when people say, hey, I've been in there and it smells terrible, and maybe it's the grease trap, and then we would we have a staff right now that is doing those inspections.
So I'm just saying, you know, because there's a lot of people that just dump their oil, whether it's in the restroom and flush it or just down the drain. And they're not really well informed of the, you know, the repercussion of just dumping it down. And I think it's good to keep the public informed at the residential level also, because there is a lot of abuse in that area, and it just goes into the water system, and that's how we get all these contaminants, you know.
That's, I think, one of the goals of this project and this program is to do a robust educational program, not just with the food establishments, but also with the residents. Because a lot of times we see, especially around the holidays, you see a lot of spills related to people cooking. And so, you know, that's something that we need to get a handle on. You know, I always tell people, Dawn Liquid did an excellent marketing job about what happens with grease. And you know, people think that you could just use Dawn and wash it and then it's gonna somehow magically disappear in their system. And you know, it doesn't disappear. It gets hard somewhere along the line. And so I think that that's one of the goals of the project and this program, is really try to educate people about, you have to address it before you start washing your dishes.
Education and well-informed to the public, especially residential, so that it goes to the trash can or whatever, and, you know, it's disposed correctly.
So, and also letting the public know that there is a company here on Guam that does collect it, and it's free and
Waste oil.
unlimited, I forget the name of it, but it's behind DPW. And occasionally, over the years, we have had community fog pickup. And I think that that's also part of our goal, is to have a community where people can bring their oil to the mayor's office or something like that. That's something that we certainly want to be able to do.
And we do have what they call it, the waste oil, you know, deposit in GPA that, you know, they can dump it in our, in their reservoir, and it's disposed correctly. You know, we do have manning cameras.
I'm just curious, what does a fog permit cost? Because it's annually.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
I think it's less than $200.
And does this apply to our friends at GDOE?
It applies to all food, cafeterias, all of that. It applies to everybody who has
No,
We need an inspector to be going around and
no,
double
they
checking.
do inspect.
yes, we do
Oh, you
inspect. We inspect
I remember
schools as well.
yeah.
Don't clog with fog.
And also places that, food trucks, we have to inspect food trucks. That industry has exploded, and so we are required to do that.
Are we part of the permitting process on that? For them to get a license?
We do, there is we don't have, it's not necessarily permitted that way, but what we do is we do go around to villages and places where we see the SSOs. Typically what happens is if there's a spill, then we go around and we see what is in that vicinity. And a lot of times it's either food trucks, sometimes in Agate it's that taco shack place there, things like that,
Yeah.
all the restaurants there. And then our source control manager goes and visits all those facilities.
All right. Questions? All right, call
Yeah,
for
it's
the
good
vote
that we
then?
go through and,
I'm
but
sorry.
if there's any
Motion.
changes, we'd like to.
No, okay. I need a motion, colleagues.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Okay? No other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go to executive session, colleagues, so 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that,
Yeah,
you know, we, as you know, the hottest topic of the day is Dieldrin, right? And we were at the hearing and well represented by counsel and Brett and providing the information. And then I was reading today that I think Guam EPA is seeking $3 million to begin a study. And I was, you know, I testified with the team and wasn't able to be there in the afternoon. And there were some, you know, important comments made. And, you know, the Chinese symbol for crisis, they have two symbols. One is danger and one is opportunity. And I think this is an opportunity for us to learn about how we handled the Dieldrin crisis, how we communicated with the public. I went ahead and downloaded, so to the degree you can trust AI and ChatGPT, I downloaded what Hawaii did, right? And there are traces of Dieldrin in Oahu's water, Pearl Harbor, right? But it was below whatever their level was. And there was even if I read it right, and I sent it to council, I'll send it around to our management team. But it looked like that, first off, US EPA has no regulatory level for Dieldrin, right? So when the guy came in 2012, he said, you got Dieldrin in your water from US EPA, but he didn't run to Region 9 and say, hey, there's Dieldrin in their water, and make them do something, right? Because it had really kind of disappeared from the landscape of US EPA because it had been banned by 2012, it had been banned for 25 years at that point, and it wasn't being used, right? Nonetheless, there were traces for whatever reason. And what I looked at, if I read it right, while there were traces, there was no mitigation. And I think the logic is, well, if it's in the water, but if it's below a certain level, we don't have to mitigate. In our case, a level was established by Guam EPA in the absence of a level from US EPA, and then we actually have gone to create a mitigation effort. We're building a very large-scale permanent $200 million treatment approach for PFAS and now Dieldrin, and luckily the technology will allow us to tackle both with it, right? Unlike other challenges in the government of Guam, you know, we have a contractor, they're in construction, and then the team was able to come up with an interim approach to at least treat the water on a going forward basis. I don't know if we've had updated readings since the work session. At the work session and at the hearing, we did inform the public and the legislature that the initial readings from the initial mitigation were that there were 0 traces. And I'll call it week 1. Since then, have we had additional tests, and are we at liberty to disclose what the initial findings were?
We have. The latest sample we received today was from October 16th, and the sample that from that date was also a non-detect. So the first 2 samples that were taken, the first being on October 11th, and then the second being on October 16th, have both come back with no traces of Dieldrin in the water after treatment.
So the GAC systems appear to be working as specified so far. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard either GPWA or us at the hearing, we want 4 consecutive weeks of clean tests, and then GWA will approach GPWA on the possibility of lifting the do not drink advisory.
That's correct.
All right.
So the third sample has already been collected and sent to the states, to Eurofins. We would expect that to be the results back probably somewhere around the 30th. And then the 4th sample will be taken on the 30th. So.
And then the GAC system we have there, we're building the bigger solution. Do we have enough GAC with this kind of success rate to last until the permanent solution is finished next spring?
We do.
Okay, so at least on the interim, it appears that our efforts are proving successful, that the GAC system is removing Dieldrin traces from the water. We're in the 2nd week. Anecdotally, I'm sure you can provide the paperwork or or issue a press release or whatever you're gonna do, that so far the GAC system appears to be working as specified and promised, and the water, and there's no traces of deodorant at all. You know, part of the, as I said earlier, when I looked at Hawaii, there were traces, and there still are traces. I didn't see any mitigation because it's below a level. But sometimes there's a perception in the community that any trace is a bad trace, when in fact, water is not 100% clean. It comes from rivers, it comes from mountains, right? It comes from rain, and then it gets into our aquifer, and which has soil. So that's why we treat it. The first thing we do is we chlorinate it in a tank, right? And now, in certain wells, we're having to treat it further to reduce the deodorant. But there are still traces of deodorant, which some perceive as, there should be no trace. That's why I cite the Hawaii example, is there are communities like Hawaii that allow some traces of deodorant to exist in their water supply. It's just below an established level that was established through science and toxicology studies, and similar to what GPWA ended up doing when it had when it took over and decided to create a standard. And then we found out we were not meeting the standard. We're having to mitigate, we're having to treat, and now the treatment is proving so far, 2 weeks in a row, that it is non-detect for deodorant, right? So I bring that in, again, to keep it in context, that there's an opportunity to learn from, how we could have better communicated. But I did see that, I think GPWA is looking for $3 million, and I'm wondering if we should consider going in with them. We have a lot more money than GPWA does, and we're the water supply group, and that maybe management can at least inquire with GPWA. I know Miguel's not available, but we got a good team here. Let's inquire with GPWA about, okay, you need $3 million, what's it gonna do? And would it make sense for us at GWA to throw in some money or fund it?
But for what, Commissioner?
For the study, the three, in today's paper, there was GPWA
We're
is.
talking about the source.
Well, I think we all want to know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
So to me, it makes sense that, to the degree we can, they're looking for money, so at this point, no one's studying it.
We're not a bank.
yeah,
No, I get it,
No,
I get
mean,
it. Well,
Again,
okay.
why don't you come up with a proposal, what exactly you're trying to do? We don't have an endless supply of money
yes.
to
yes.
deal with this issue, okay?
So my suggestion, Mr. Chair,
Hang on, let me finish.
Okay, yeah.
Let's just, Commissioner Sanchez has a proposal on the floor, bring it to the commission, let's talk about it. But please be reminded, we don't have an endless supply of money to deal specifically with deodorant.
Yes.
PFAS is a separate issue, there's gonna be a supply of money, but it's not going to be enough. Make no mistake, I
Yeah.
mean, we still don't have a firm number on what it's gonna cost per treatment, GACs, whatever it is, per well. And today, you can't tell us how many wells
Yeah.
we're gonna be affected.
well, my understanding is the $200 million plan knows what wells it's going to tie together.
Thank you.
And it knows what treatment
Go ahead,
system is.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for mentioning that, and I appreciate your all this effort to be spokesman in this area. But I think when it comes to something like this, to rectify the problem, it should not just be GWA responsible of our budget. It should be a collaboration for the whole entire government of Guam. Even it's not our fault that it filters in, because there's a lot of contaminant. But when something like this happens, to rectify the problem, it needs to go outside of just our budget here. And there is, a budget in the federal government plus our governor that can help us to rectify this issue so that.
So I apologize for not being clear.
Yeah,
My
I
first
understand
suggestion
your
was for management to reach out to GPWA based on a news article I read that GPWA is trying to find $3 million to study the deodorant crisis, the issue, and perhaps identify a source. And it might be fruitful for us, the water supplier that has to actually mitigate it, to sit down with GPWA. So I was just suggesting that management reach out to them based on the article. Hey, you need $3 million. What's it for? Maybe it's useful to us. And then management can come back to the board and say,
Yes.
hey, we looked at it. They got the money. They don't have the money, or it's not a study that would
Yeah.
be conducive to
Yeah.
us. All I was suggesting was just to
Yeah.
have
Good.
management first reach
Good.
out and then come back to
Yeah,
the
good.
board,
Yeah,
with the
good, good.
concept being
Yeah.
that maybe it's an opportunity for us to throw in something and contribute to the study, because I think everyone wants to know the source,
Yeah.
especially us, because we're the
Just
ones
show
that
us
gotta clean it
show
up.
the number, and then we'll do whatever it takes to go outside of ourselves to be able to rectify this issue. This is not, again, if they want it clear, it's a collaboration of everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, management reach
And
out
so
to
just-
GPA for now.
but-
Based
but
on the
it-
article I read,
But
GPA's looking for 3
It shouldn't be
million.
management that's going, trying to find the money. You present what is needed, and it is this board that will go and bat to get the funds to rectify the issue outside of
Commissioner
ourselves.
Menchaca.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. But I agree with Commissioner Sanchez. I think we all need to take responsibility that we should have probably handled it better, especially on the communication side. But in regards to what you were referring to for EPA, I don't think it should just be regulated to deodorant. It should be for all emerging contaminants
Yeah, that's
potentially,
right.
right? And so that would be my next question is, are there any other wells right now that have an emerging contaminant that may not be regulated by EPA right now, that we're still kind of in this limbo as to, well, what are we going to do about it? I'd like to know as a commissioner now if that exists, so that we can do a better job of handling these potential emerging contaminants the next time it comes up. So, that's the question. Are we aware of any wells that may not have a regulation or a limit, that we're still kind of figuring out, well, what are we going to do and how are we going to handle this emerging contaminant so that we can try and find a solution for it now?
Good. And I mentioned it before, it's got to be more frequency in testing this, and not only for what is being mentioned, but for all the contaminants. I think the more we find these things out and have some kind of record, at least we're doing something, and then, we'll fix the problem but the frequency of the tests in all the wells throughout the entire island, it should be more frequent in testing, and whatever other things that is there, we need to find out and be informed.
Well, that has a cost too, and if I understood
Well,
from the,
just a
hold
test
on,
is not
I
too much
understand from the
cost.
hearing correctly, we are following the required testing pattern that US EPA and GPA requires us to follow for testing our wells. We're following federal regulations, local GPA regulations as well. So we have an approach to testing our wells that is mandated by federal law, and we are following that. If we're gonna depart from that, okay, if we wanna test more frequently, fine. What's the cost, right?
Yeah.
Since
That's
cost
what
is a
I'm saying.
valid concern.
When we do tests, sometimes it's just a canister, and you put something in, and it changes color, and you can see all the different things on the water, on the pH in this area.
Is that how the
It's not
test-
an expensive thing to test this.
Is that how the tests are done, your titrations? You just,
When we test.
I think it's a little more involved in that, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not very expensive.
Yeah, Commissioner, have you tested water yourself before?
Uh,
Are you
yes.
an expert? Do you
Well-
have a certification of some sort?
Well, yes, we in the gas turbine.
I'm just asking, do you have a certification on water that you're claiming that it's easy? Because I think we should let the professionals tell us
That's
how
what
it's
I'm
done.
saying, yeah. In how we test the condensed water before we fired it into our compressor, we
I'll
thoroughly
take that as
test
a no,
this water.
all right? So maybe we should let the professionals.
All I'm saying is the test should be more frequent, it
Just-
shouldn't be that
And I think we're
expensive.
gonna do that. But the question I have, Chris, just remind us again, the US EPA grant that we have. I think it's directed at CIP, right?
That's
We
correct.
just- Yeah, we just can't do it for reimbursement and so forth, so be mindful of volunteering money that really if we're not gonna take it from this grant, then obviously it's gonna come from O&M. And that is very tight right now, given the budget that we just approved, so go back to, as suggested by Commissioner Sanchez, speak with our friends at EPA and say, okay, what exactly are we trying to find here? 'Cause I think we all do wanna get to the source, because that's important to know, but in the meantime, the good news is out there that week 2, again, the reports are great that there's no deodorant in the water, but we still have at least 2 more weeks to go of additional testing. And keep in mind, right, that we are not the ones that are gonna live the notice. It's still an EPA issue as we speak. So we're all gonna do our part here, so anyways, is that it? So we can go into
Just
executive
ask
session?
management to
Yes,
reach out,
and I
and
think we're
let's see
done.
what they come back
Move
with.
that, all right. Okay, 5 minutes, and let's get back to executive session.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody sent me the article. It's
Thank you.
That's looking for the three million, not the people.
Because they want to do.
They want to do what they want to do is study residents of GEO, specifically women with breast
There
cancer.
was an interesting presentation at the hearing, where the public health guy said they expected a higher